Bitcoin is bouncing again, and if I'm looking at the data from the last 3 months, Sunday has been the best performing month for Bitcoin. And yes, if I'm also looking back at the last 8 Sundays, every single Sunday we have seen a bump, and then moments after we create that CME gap, on the Monday and Tuesday, we tend to see a big correction for Bitcoin. At least this has been the trend for the last 8 weeks. So this I will be talking about on today's update video. I'm gonna talk about the most important level of support we are now approaching and retesting. Obviously, I am going to talk about this Bitcoin bear market, what we're currently all seeing in the market, what are the targets we should be aiming for, and of course, I am going to talk exactly about my price targets, what I will be doing with my trades, how I think the market is currently looking, and how exactly the 4-year cycle on Bitcoin is just yet again repeating. So this and so much more will be getting discussed on today's update video, including the fact that I will be discussing where I personally am interested in opening up a potential short position on Bitcoin. So don't forget to watch the video till the end, slap off that like button back above 1,000 likes, will be highly appreciated, and let me jump straight away in today's update video. So honestly, it has been very predictable that we were going to get another bump on the Sunday, since this is literally what happened in the last 8 weekends we got over Bitcoin. And of course, the data over here that you can see just confirms it, that Sunday is one of the best performing days of the week. On Monday and Tuesday, we tend to see a correction. But obviously, if we're going to be looking at the CME gap we're currently creating, the Bitcoin weekend close was on 85.2K here. So yeah, we do right now have a CME gap of about $1,000 over the course of this weekend. And just like we can see from all the previous CME gaps we created on Bitcoin, yeah, just most of them eventually, just like this one over here back in April 2025, just eventually get filled up here. So once again, yes, we could create a big bounce on the weekend, but take in account that we are still creating that CME gap. Then of course, yesterday I already discussed it, but there came some news out that basically right now changed the forecast to a rate cut again here in December. It's not a 100% certainty yet so far, but this is at least the consensus as of this moment of time here. And if I'm looking at Bitcoin, we of course have seen a significant correction from high to low, often about 36% right now. And we're now finally finding some support of this major level of previous resistance that now is acting as support. And of course, like you can see here, this has been a consolidation range. So there's a lot of volume traded around this level. So if Bitcoin were to be seeing any bounce there, it's most likely going to be on this level. And to be very honest, if we break below this zone right here, the next big level of support for Bitcoin is going to be laying all the way down to 72 to about 68,000 US dollars. So that is very important to understand. If we break this zone right here, the next big support level for Bitcoin is going to be laying around 72,000 US dollars. And also, I want to be mentioning, if you want to be staying up to date on more trades there from 5 other professional traders, actually this morning there was a new order placed there by Mario. And of course, we have four other professional traders and also me, who is sharing their trading setups. If you want to be staying up to date on all these updates, I want to recommend also to join the VIP Telegram group, which you can do so by using the second link in today's video description. Further on, I want to be mentioning the fact that currently, also if I'm looking at Bitcoin, we are of course currently seeing that big correction. And like I mentioned in many videos before as well, if we were to be opening up a trade here, because I think personally we are right now looking like we're entering a bear market, I am definitely going to be interested if we're going to be retesting this 200-day moving average. And you can see here back in 2017, we retested this. And this marked, of course, the beginning of the Bitcoin bear market. Here back in 2022, we retested this level, marked the beginning of the bear market, and of course, the continuation of the lower high. And personally, I think something similar is going to be playing out this time around again here. So I think, yes, this 200-day moving average, if it were to be retested, is going to give us a very good opportunity to, of course, open up a short on the lower high on Bitcoin. So that is what I'm going to be looking for right now. That is going to be my strategy. Obviously, we are seeing extreme fear in the market right here, and usually extreme fear could lead towards some of a relief rally. Now the relief rally is happening over a Sunday, and like I said, I personally don't really like to see weekend movements, but mainly what we have seen over the course of this last period in the market, over the course of the last 2 months here, which has been the major driver of this big correction on Bitcoin, has been the US selling pressure. So as Monday, the stock market is going to be reopening again, we are most likely going to continue to see this aggressive selling from the US markets. And now, even if we're going to compare this bear market on the RSI compared to the previous ones, we are obviously coming closer and closer towards the potential bear market bottom. But obviously, like we have seen in all the previous cycles, usually the Bitcoin bottom gets created not necessarily by the low on the RSI, because here also we still create a lower low on the price action, but by the bullish divergence on the weekly time frame on the Bitcoin chart here. This happened in 2018, this happened in 2022, this also happened in the top this time around here where we created bearish divergence. This happened in the top here of 2021 to 2022 as well here, where we basically see a significant loss of momentum in the market, which is marking the top of a certain structure. So that is exactly something I will be personally looking out for once again here on the Bitcoin charts. Also, if we're looking at the 4-year cycle on Bitcoin, historically, if we're looking at the 4-year cycle, the cycle should be over right now. Back in 2021, that marked the exact top here. Back in 2017, it marked almost the exact top for Bitcoin. And if I'm going to be looking back in 2014, it also showed us that we were entering the beginning of the bear market. So once again, there are so many signals. If we're looking, and if you still are believing in the Bitcoin 4-year cycle, that most likely the Bitcoin price action is currently entering a bear market. And in bear markets, we need to be very patient. And honestly, I think that between $60,000 and $50,000, Bitcoin is most likely going to be bottoming around this zone right here. This, of course, is corresponding with a big consolidation range where most likely big support is going to be found. And also it's corresponding with the 200 weekly moving average, which is currently trading around 55,000 US dollars. And if we're looking back at previous bull markets, you can see, bear markets, you can see that marked the bottom in 2018 of the bear market towards 2019. It marked the bottom in the pandemic crash of 2020. And of course, the moment we broke below it in 2022, it basically also indicated and marked one of the best buying opportunities. So once again, I could start to say, yes, we can still for sure break below the 200 weekly moving average, and everything below the 200 weekly moving average is going to be a very great buy. But of course, the chance of Bitcoin actually breaking below this is, in my opinion, becoming smaller and smaller since there's more and more money ultimately invested in crypto and Bitcoin. So if it were to be breaking below it, the opportunity is going to be massive. But of course, the chances of Bitcoin actually breaking below this are quite slim, in my opinion. So that is why I made this heat map and think that Bitcoin is most likely going to be a good buy from off $70,000, and it's most likely going to be bottoming between 65 and 50,000 US dollars. And that is where I personally have set up my orders as well here, and where I will be personally aggressively accumulate Bitcoin. I mean, if we're looking at this horizontal weekly support box, you can see clearly this has been a major level for Bitcoin before. Most likely we're going to be finding a lot of support around it. It's laying around 50,000 US dollars. Also, if we're looking at this level right here, the 72K mark, it is definitely one of the biggest levels of previous resistance here. Touched it as support. I do believe that we are at least going to grab this liquidity zone right here. But yeah, Bitcoin is exactly right now on its way towards this next major level of support, where I personally think Bitcoin is going to be a great buy again from here. And of course, like I mentioned it many times before already, there are just too many signals that we are currently entering a bear market. But whenever I see the perfect storm once again align in front of my face, I will definitely going to tell you what I'm going to be doing next year. And as well, if I'm looking at the liquidity heat map, there is a ton of liquidity being built up above us. But like I mentioned in so many videos before, and also in this video earlier, there is, of course, a very big chance of this relief rally up towards $110,000. And ultimately, that is where I want to be scaling in towards my short positions again here. So that is going to be my strategy. If you want to be staying up to date about that, make sure to join the VIP Telegram group here, because of course, if I enter my trades, you will be knowing first over there. And also what I want to be mentioning is that if you are personally interested in trading and joining me with my next trade here, don't forget to sign up an account to WeX using that first link in today's video description, because by signing up an account using that first link below, guys, you'll not only get a 25% fee rebate, but also you will be able to claim a deposit bonus up to $30,000. But make sure to always do your own research, because trading is obviously risky if you don't know what you're doing. So make sure to do your research. But if you're looking for a safe and reliable exchange and also a cheap one, check out WeX in the first link in today's video description to get that 25% fee rebate. Further on, I want to discuss some charts on ETH. And ETH is, of course, looking quite interesting. I mean, ETH is, of course, breaking down below the golden pocket entry on the Fibonacci. It has hit all-time highs, but it's only for a very short period of time here, and straight away moved towards the downside. And honestly, the next big level of support is going to be $2,400, the 0.382 on the Fibonacci. And if I'm just looking at my heat map for ETH as well, yeah, what I'm currently seeing here is that we are still in an expensive range, and ultimately Ethereum is going to be following Bitcoin. And in my opinion, every buy below $1,500 is going to be going to be a great buy. And yeah, if I'm looking at the support line on the monthly time frame, this could be a very important and most likely an interesting level that's going to be retested on Ether. Has been retested many times before here. But yeah, ultimately, we are retesting right now one of the biggest previous levels of resistance. Here also, big levels of support. So there is a lot of confluence around this level for Ethereum to at least somewhat have a short-term bounce from. So Ethereum and Bitcoin are right now entering a stage where they could definitely very well bounce from. If Bitcoin doesn't bounce from this level, it is obviously going to be moving down to 72 to 70,000 US dollars. And of course, in case of a bounce, I want to be opening up a short position over here. So that is my strategy. It's super simple. It's all explained right now. But anyways, this was it for me in today's video. Subscribe to the channel, snap that like button, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out. Goodbye.